everyone. Gee, the lighting in here is not very good today. It's because it's overcast. It's 1:30 p.m. Oh, really? 1:30? Holy crap, 1:20 p.m. I'm supposed to be at my mum's house at 2 o'clock, so I better make this a quick one. I'm going to make this a quick one. I just wanted to share very briefly about an artist that I've recently discovered who some of you, honestly, may well just be like, yeah, of course, like, gee, you're a bit slow to pick up on that one. But look, the truth is, like, I'm nearly 50. Oh, don't say that, Belinda. I'm 48, and, and look, it's not like that I don't try to listen to new music. It's just that, I often find that when I try to go to find new music to listen to, that I just don't relate to it very much, or I find it very, just so derivative, or just, can I say basic? It just doesn't engage with me very well, so I'll be honest, like, a lot of what I listen to is from the past, and when I say the past, I mostly mean the 90s and the 70s specifically. I know that this is something that happens, it's always been happening, right? Like, our parents didn't understand our music when we were kids, and then we didn't understand their music. I was actually an exception to that rule. At first, when my dad went, I remember I brought home my very first piece of vinyl, which was Def Leppard's Hysteria album, and I played Pour Some Sugar on Me for him, and he immediately said, meh, meh, and ripped that off and put on Stairway to Heaven. And I sat there, as I think I was 13 or 14 at the time, just going, boring, and my dad's going, no, wait, it's building. Anyway, I listened through all 7 minutes of it and declared that it was, all right, but, like, too long, and it took too long to get to the good bit. Anyway, probably because I was an only child, and I didn't exactly have a large allowance to buy new music. Plus, as well, like, I just, when I would go to the record store to buy new stuff, like, and tell them what I was into, they just really didn't have very many recommendations to give me, Like, I remember when I went in once and said, I took this was the cassette tape now, of Appetite for Destruction by Guns N' Roses up to the counter, and I said to the guy, I want something that sounds like this. And the only thing he could give me was Motley Crue, Kickstart My Heart. I took that home. Look, I don't hate that record. It's got a couple of all right tracks on it, but it's not a patch on Appetite for Destruction. And and I think, like, enough time has passed now that we can honestly say that that there are very few things that are like it. Whether you like Guns N' Roses or dislike Guns N' Roses, I don't think you can really deny the fact that album stands alone in its time, and even after its time. So I admittedly, like, I was putting the guy in the record store up to some pretty hard tasks when I was going in and asking for recommendations. But anyway, regardless of that, as when the early 90s rolled around and grunge music came around, I felt finally like the world of music had decided it was up for the challenge again, and all this amazing music came out, and I was hooked on it, and I loved most of it. Some of it I didn't like at first. So some of it had to grow on me a little bit. And through all of that, I continued to go through my dad's record collection, right, and listen to his old 70s, mostly 70s classics. And this included a lot of the Beatles, James Taylor, Cat Stevens, the Rolling Stones. Not so much the Rolling Stones, but a little bit of the Rolling Stones. Obviously Led Zeppelin. He had a couple of Sabbath albums. He had a couple of Deep Purple albums. And I was, so I was rotating through these, as well as my early 90s stuff. And that really, like, became like my sort of, it set the gold standard, I guess, for music for me. And then I would go through a phase where I listened exclusively to electronic music when I was doing my raver years, I guess you would say. And I developed a deep love for a number of electronic artists, not so much DJs, more so the actual artists than the DJs. Underworld is a perennial favorite. I think that they're amazing. You know, Chemical Brothers, especially their early stuff. Sorry, guys. Amazing. I'd name others, but anyway, the point of this video is to talk about a new artist, a relatively new artist. He's actually been around for a while. He was in a band prior to launching his solo career, and that was actually a punk band. He played guitar, but he's very, very talented, and now he is a bona fide solo artist that does hip hop, but he also sings, he also plays guitar, piano. He's super talented, and he writes songs from personal experience, from the heart, and he talks about things that matter to him and things that matter to people from his generation, and especially who grew up where he did in Cardiff, or where he then moved from Cardiff, I believe it was, to Bristol. You know, where he spent a lot of time busking on the streets, and you know, I mean, and if you subscribe to his YouTube channel, there's heaps of stuff on there, which some of which is, you know, just him busking, and then some of which is the stuff he's recorded subsequently. Anyway, the artist's name is Ren, R-E-N. When I first heard a song of his, and this was via a YouTube Music auto-generated playlist, and I was in my car, and it said Ren, and it had this, you know, and the song played, and I thought, well, this is pretty cool, and I just thought, Ren, NWA, I didn't think he'd done anything since, and he doesn't sound very American, you know, but I just thought, oh, there's only ever going to be one Ren in hip hop, right? So I didn't even realize that it was something completely different until I was watching YouTube Music on my computer and first saw a video clip, and then saw this young, very, you know, really, oh look, I have so much love for Ren. I think he's incredible. He's just recently launched a second YouTube channel in which he is just talking about his story, and it's incredibly powerful. You know, he talks about things that so many people can relate to. His music is so dynamic and diverse, and even if you don't like hip hop, I highly encourage you to give it a listen, because just the issues he touches on are things that we can all relate to, regardless of where we grew up, regardless of our socioeconomic status, regardless of, you know, male, female. He's talking about real things. He's talking about mental health. He's talking about just real world struggles, and the fact that we're all a little bit broken. And I think that there's enormous healing power in his music, and I love the fact that he is now choosing to also use his now relative fame. He got a Billboard UK BBC Music Radio, BBC Radio #1 album. So he's got a fair few followers now. He's got a fair few subscribers on his YouTube. There's a lot of people talking about his music, I'm sure, over in Great Britain. And when I speak to people in Australia about him, probably about 50% have heard of him, 50% haven't. Maybe make that more like 30% have, and the 70% haven't. But he's gaining momentum worldwide, and I just really wanted to share with my channel this artist, because I feel like somewhere in his music, or possibly in his story, which he has now launched, he's got 6 chapters individually now of his story that he's, you know, and he's still going. There's stuff in there that I think of value for everyone and anyone. So check it out. I'm going to link his 2 YouTube channels in the description. I'm also going to provide a link to his probably most famous and arguably, well, certainly the song I feel that made him as a solo artist, and that illustrates so beautifully not only his talent, but the way that he is so emotionally invested. You can see the authenticity, you can feel the authenticity, and he really is describing a battle in his head between, you know, the voices that are telling him he's not good enough, and the counter voices that are telling him, nah, mate, you're all right, you're on the right track, you're doing the right thing. And I think we can all relate to that, you know. So I'm going to link all of that in the description. Check him out. Subscribe, like if you like it. If you don't like it, I'd love to know in the comments what you think. Especially if for some reason you don't, you know, you have some constructive criticism. I would, you know, of course you could post that on his own you know, video feeds. However, I'm curious to see what other people think. Most people who I've shown this to have said, oh, unbelievable, like this kid, he's incredible, like where did he come from and how did he get so good? And that's what he's talking about in his new YouTube channel. You know, he's not talking about how he got so good. He's just talking about his story, you know. So anyway, so this is just, like I said, like just a quick video because I wanted to put this out there before it became old news, and also while I remembered to, and while I had a couple of minutes free. And now I'm going to go and see my mum, because I decided to take the afternoon off for uni for lunch because I submitted 2 of my 3 assignments that I had. Both of them got them done early, so I've just got 1 to go, and I'm super stoked about that because I can focus all my attention on that one now, and I've got a week before it's due, so I'm breathing. I feel like today I've had more deep breaths than I've had for the past month probably. And I also got 2 of my assignment results back just yesterday, and I got the best scores on them that I've had all semester. So I'm feeling really proud of myself. And so I've decided to go and see my mum, I guess, as a treat to myself, which, I mean, you know, look, I like seeing my mum, and it's not really, you know, I mean, I'll probably try and do something else as well. I actually yesterday, straight after I got my assignment grades, I decided to treat myself by going to the gym in my apartment complex for the first time. Which again probably sounds like, I mean, to me, like, who really doesn't enjoy exercise as a general rule and doesn't like gyms in particular, it seemed like an odd choice. But I thought, you know what, just go and do it. Like, honestly, because I do want to start getting more exercise. Living in a complex with a gym, I've got to pay for that gym via my strata levies, so I might as well use the bloody thing. So I did 20 minutes on the treadmill. Yeah, pretty proud of myself for that. Yeah, and I may also try and slip in some other type of reward for myself as well. That's more, I guess, on the self-care kind of front than anything else. So, but yeah, so all good stuff from this end. Let me know how you're doing. Like and subscribe, please. And finally, shout out to all of our Aboriginal population in Perth and around Australia. I respect you. I acknowledge that you are the traditional owners of this land, and I'm with you in working towards a better situation for yourselves, and a better integration and equality between our cultures. Big love. Happy Friday for tomorrow.